Let me show you how you can get around Photoshop effectively. The first thing you already know is how to switch tabs. You see I have two tabs opened and I can swap between them easily. An important thing you have to remember is that each tab is independent. That means you have different panels for your layers, and besides the interface, nothing is shared between them. This might be very easy to understand in this layout, but look how I can complicate things. If I drag out one of the tabs now, it will float around. As I toggle between them, so does my Layers panel. I can also detach the other tab too. This makes things difficult fast, especially if you're on a Mac and you like to see your desktop. I strongly advise you to keep everything docked properly. To do that, we can do it manually. Just drag one of the tabs up until you get this blue border. Or even easier, you can go to Window, Arrange, Consolidate all into tabs. This is what I strongly recommend, but keep in mind I'm using two 24-inch monitors and I mostly do web design work. If you have something else in mind and you want to compare them side by side, you can easily switch between these modes. It's all about your preference, but keep in mind you should focus a lot on your Layers panel, otherwise you'll mess up fast. Let's revert to my preference. Okay, once you're in a document, you may want to zoom in and out. To do that, just press Z for the zoom tool. Look in the top left and see your default. Mine is set on zooming in. I can tell that by seeing the plus symbol. Now if I click once, I'll zoom in. Easy. Check the bottom left to see your actual zoom level. I always recommend you come back to 100% because this way you won't get a distorted view. If you work 30 minutes at 300%, your perspective gets out of balance, so you should always come back to 100% to check your progress. How do you do that? First, my favorite, Control 1. Or on a Mac, that's Command 1. Easy to remember, easy to use, since your left hand should already be on your keyboard. Let's zoom in again, but this time I'll click and drag to the right. This does the same thing, but it's more precise this way. If you feel you've gone too deep, just drag to the left. Okay, now how can we get back to 100% easily? Simple, just double-click the Zoom tool in the Tools panel. Okay, one last thing about zooming. If we click whilst having the plus symbol active, we'll go in, right? But if we hold down Alt, or the Option key on a Mac, you'll see the cursor will change to the minus symbol, and the second button will be pressed in the top left. These are your major options regarding zooming in and out. What about if you want to go up, down, or side to side? Well, don't be tempted to use your arrow keys on your keyboard, those won't work. The most basic way is to use these scroll bars. As you can see, I click and drag, but that's not what I'd call efficient. What I recommend instead is that you hold down space. This transforms your cursor into a little hand. Now you can move freely in any direction with any speed. This is what I use in my workflow and I strongly recommend it. So again, hold down space, click and drag in any direction. If holding down space is an issue, you can go to the Tools panel and click on this hand icon. With that active, you can simply click and drag. Why is holding space better though? Because once you let go, you'll revert back to your initial tool. So let's say I'm painting with a brush, but I need to move around a bit. I can hold space, do exactly that, let go, and I still have my brush selected. This means less back and forth. I know it may seem like we're saving only half a second, but I promise you these little bits make all the difference down the road. So we've learned to arrange our tabs to zoom in and out and move freely. Let's continue with another few bits. If you press Tab, all the panels go away. What's the point? Less distractions. If that's not enough, and I don't think it is, you can press the F key to get into full screen mode. You have to press it twice to get into it. This makes it easy for you to observe everything on your canvas, especially if your work is fairly large and you don't have a humongous monitor. Even so, you might still not see things right because your project may be very big. As you can see, I'm at 25% initially, and now I'll go to 100% by pressing Control 1. Now I can work on all the fine details. After I'm done, I need a fast way to see the entire thing. I'm already at 100% and that's too close in because the document is very big. I could zoom out manually with the techniques I showed you, but I want an even faster way. and that's Control 0. This resizes the image to fit my screen. It doesn't matter how big it is, this command will make sure the canvas spans the entire width of the screen. Try it out on different tabs and you'll see the same thing. The percentages vary from project to project because you tell Photoshop to zoom in or out at a level where you get to see the entire width of it. So to recap, Control 1 gives 100% all the time. Control 0 fits the image to your screen. This is why I said it's 1 and 2, the canvas and the layers panel. Without knowing what you've selected in the panel, you can't work on the canvas. If you don't have the right order of layers, you might not see the right things on the canvas, and so on. Okay, that's the beginning of what you need to know to move around freely in Photoshop. We'll learn more as we progress, so let's get to it.